Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hybiz News. My name is Suresh Kochatil. The COVID 19 pandemic has not just infected lakhs of people, it has also killed lakhs of people. In a sense, it has overwhelmed every healthcare system in the world, ruined the economies of just every other nation, made companies bankrupt in just a few weeks, and left millions without a job. The most obvious question that everyone is asking is what will be the world order after Corona? Yesterday, Anurag Saxena wrote an 8-column piece in the Financial Express. He is lucky, as not many get that long a story in the pre-COVID environment. But yes, it's possible these days when everyone is reading an e-paper. Anurag is of the opinion that the post-COVID world will need unprecedented responses on the economic and the financial front. India can either lead the path or wallow in drudgery. Today, we at Hybiz News in Hyderabad studio are privileged to have with us Anurag Saxena, connecting up with us from Singapore, where he lives and works. Anurag did his chartered accountancy from India, an MBA from the US, and is now a senior advisor to global corporates in Singapore. Thank you for speaking to us, Anurag. I know Singapore is also in a lockdown mode like India and has been more proactive in controlling the pandemic, just like India, but setting benchmarks for others to follow. So let me start by asking the most obvious question, the headline of the article: Ridiculous Measures for Ridiculous Times. How did you come up with a title like this in the first place?
Namaste Sureshji, good to be here. Well, here is the thing. Let's look at it. This is a ridiculous reality that we're living in today. Just last night while we were all sleeping, oil prices crashed to negative levels. Minus $24, $25 it is now, I think. This basically means that oil companies will pay you money if you're ready to pick up crude. There's a total lockdown, salaries are cut. Most companies have lost 10, 12, 15% of their annual revenue itself just in the period of the lockdown. And there's no end in sight. So I believe that we've not seen anything like this in history. This is not a situation that any government, any organization or any individual was prepared for. So I think this clearly does qualify as a fairly ridiculous time that we live in.
So you come up with a list of what sounds like a Santa Claus wish list for the Indian government. Can you give us a highlight of the top one or two of these suggestions?
Well, let's look at this. I am talking about it purely from a policy perspective, specifically the economic policy perspective. Now, on the social front, Prime Minister Modi and his government has done fairly amazing things. The lockdown has been implemented. People say more testing should go on, but despite a lack of testing, I think India is fighting really, really well. Despite a few stray incidents of communities that are trying to break the lockdown, in general, things are safe and under control. Now, the one area where not much has been done is on the policy front and on the economics front. And we've had various industry associations, various industry bodies, companies, individuals raising this issue. The two or three simple things that the Modi government could be doing is, as an example, one, if there is any scheme or yojana or prayojana that was ending on 31st March this year in the middle of a lockdown, they should just simply extend it by a year or 2 years. Just let the economy prosper, give people an opportunity to continue what they were doing, and reduce the ability of tax terrorism by some babu coming to you and saying that, hey, you're technically in breach. Two, you see, despite all the selection and training and top of the heap talent that the IAS, IRS and IFS is able to attract, our bureaucrats are not really trained for extreme situations. They're trained for BAU, business as usual. So perhaps this is a time to bring in the whole Bhagidari concept again, to bring in industrialists, doctors, safety experts, security experts, to actually start taking decisions on behalf of the government, knowing that they have faced extraordinary situations in the past. So I've written about these and a couple of similar issues more.
Thank you, Anurag, for that. Very interestingly, in the article, you talk about the end of Lagan. What did you mean by it?
Well, Sureshji, there've been reports of how archaic laws, and all of us know it, right? There are a bunch of archaic laws that exist in the Indian books today. As an example, there are 3,100 laws from before 1947. So these are colonial era laws meant to hold us down as a society, meant to control us, meant to subdue us, which the British had introduced. 3,100 laws and acts of the British time have existed, and there has been a consistent effort to bring these down, to eliminate what is not relevant anymore. Now, I had a very radical suggestion, and I know this sounds very stupid, but like I said, these are ridiculous times. What if the parliament or the government came out and said that we strike down all laws pre-1947 as of so and so date? The date could be 31st March 2021, 31st March 2022, whatever it is. But as of that end date, none of the British era laws will be applicable in India. This is perhaps the simplest way to create pressure on our legislators to create laws made by an independent India for an independent India. Unless there is an end date, unless there is a pressure, I'm afraid we'll just be treading along, pulling along, chugging along a dead horse, which was not meant for us in the first place.
And we come to the last question. What do you think it will take for India to start taking crazy ideas, crazy suggestions, crazy solutions, compared to the step-by-step safe solutions that India has been used to following since independence?
Well, I think it's a very interesting question, right? I mean, India has been victim to incremental change for ages. Now, under the Modi government, we've seen a step change in a couple of areas. We've seen a step change in the diplomatic front, especially since Foreign Minister Jaishankar ji has taken over. We've started asserting ourselves internationally and diplomatically. We've seen a step change on concepts like direct benefit transfer and the Antyodaya concept that Vajpayee ji used to promote. I think it is now time for us to take a holistic approach and just take the kind of confidence New India has, the kind of self-assuredness New India has, and say we'll push it over a few areas. We'll knock off old laws that don't exist. We'll let business run themselves. We won't interfere with business. We will bring in true experts rather than somebody who's really a jack of all trade to help the country as and when it is needed. So I think it is time for us to really think in terms of reasserting ourselves and not, just look at the kind of confidence that a new India displays, the citizens display, and find ways to translate that at a bureaucratic and legislative level. Unless we do that, China went through this a couple of decades back. Different nations have gone through inflection points at different points in their history. I genuinely believe it is time in India to go through that inflection point.
Thank you, Anurag, for speaking to us at HiBiz News.
Thank you, Suresh ji. Pleasure as always speaking with you. Namaskar.
I know a short interview of this nature does not do justice to what you would have liked to say. I would advise everyone to read the article that Anurag had written. We will post that news link along with this video. Thank you for watching.